Okay, so I went ahead and removed the power steering reservoir here. It's super easy. Never expected it to be that easy. That little clip there, all you're gonna do is push it in with the screwdriver. Oops. It's a little tough, but push that in and then pull up on the reservoir and it slides right out. And there's not even any bolts. There is actually that bolt from underneath, and it is right underneath that 8 right there. If you have the little apron on the side off, like I do there, it takes a 10-inch extension and 14 millimeter. I used a deep set, but you can use a short too. And then also, I did get some new tools I can't wait to try out. This one here is a pretty sweet ball joint press. I did prep it, Molly lube on the shaft there. I really recommend doing that because it stops it from wearing and it makes it easier, and they recommend it every time you use it. But this set, I have Amazon Prime, and this set cost me just under $50, which I thought was amazing considering what you get. And then the other one is this set over here, and this set is unbelievably well made. This is my bushing and bearing driver set. Those shafts and those cups are super heavy duty. The whole set weighs just under 40 pounds, so it's by far the heaviest tool set I have. On this, you definitely want to lube up those bearings in there and the shaft too. What I'm using and what it sounds like everyone recommends is an EP lithium grease on the bearings there. I'm using Lucas Red and Tacky. This stuff's pretty great. And then for the shafts, I'm using this Stalu Mollygraph, which is also extreme pressure too. So those should be really good. Yeah, it's kind of messy, but I'm getting it done. So it's going to take me a little bit, but I will get this whole set greased up, and I can't wait to try it. One thing I wanted to share, this was pretty dirty. You can see over here. I wanted to try this out. This is just a little bit of diluted Fabuloso, and you can see it really cleaned up nicely. I just did a real quick once over. It still needs a little more, but you can see there it cleaned up really well. So if you got some dirty parts you want to clean, Fabuloso. And then the mount that I got for the front, I'm kind of reconsidering. I'm going to try it out. It's much softer than the one that was already in there, which is probably the original. But in any case, this is a Westar, and I wasn't really too sure about getting Westar, but I couldn't find a back arm leaf for the front. I don't think they even make one, but this one here is pretty easy to get to, so I decided to keep what I have there. See, it's supposed to reduce vibration, so we'll see. But the back motor mount, because it seems to me you have to drop the subframe to actually change that mount. It would seem to me that a better one would be a good idea. So I'm going to send back the Westar that I ordered, and I ordered a back arm leaf for that one. So that should be good. So one thing I forgot to mention, this set cost me just over $100 on Amazon. I'm not counting if you have to pay for shipping, but considering the quality that it's made, I think it's a steal. But I definitely recommend it. I got all of these lubed up. I just got to clean them up a little bit. Cleaned up those bottom too, but I still got these 4 shafts down here to lube up too. And on the ball joint, one thing I wanted to mention is down here, this piece actually comes out, and you're going to want to use like a lithium grease in there too. So, okay, so this is that rear engine mount. Obviously no good because the studs I had to cut, but if you look in here, it is also tearing. So it's a good time to replace this one. Really aged. You can see the rubber just deteriorated. And I would say the best thing to do if you're going to replace an engine mount, replace them all. Because if you just replace one, it's going to wear out faster because it's going to be taking the strain of the others not doing their job. So don't waste time, just change them all out when you can. If you can't do that big of a job, then just understand you're going to end up changing them out more often. So, and then the other thing, I finished prepping my set, so it is all lubed up, ready to go. Can't wait to try it, but right now I have my bushings and my ball joints in an ice bath, and I have my bearings and my seals in the freezer, so hopefully all of that should be a little easier. The seals I'm going to wait on until I'm actually at the point of putting in the CV axles, but I do want to get those bushings and those ball joints put in as soon as possible, so I'm going to do that in just a little bit here. And when I do, I'll show how to set this up. You're basically going to put one cup on one side that's just smaller than what you're trying to press out or press in, and then one receiving cup larger than it on the opposite side, and that's going to press it into the receiving cup. Now, I'm not real sure how you press the bushings in. I'm guessing you push it in with a smaller size and a bigger size on the opposite side, or maybe even a smaller size on the opposite side so you could stop it. So I'll try to see if I can find a video on how somebody else has done it and see what works best. Okay, so I told you I'd show you this. I'm not gonna put the new one in yet. I'm just gonna take the old ones out right now. So basically we have our press cup over here that is big enough to set on the lip but small enough to go through the bore, and then we have the receiving cup, which is large enough for the bushing to go into and small enough to set on the outside of the bushing housing, I guess you might say, on the knuckle. Anyways, what's really cool is they have this little groove in here that you can actually see the bushing moving, so that's kind of cool. And basically you're gonna line them up really good. It's a little tough without two people just to get the cup to stay there. If I had this standing up, it probably would have been easier, but I was trying to just keep it this way and not have it up on the backing plate there. But basically 2 wrenches, or I have this pass-through ratchet that looks like it's gonna work pretty good. I guess I'm gonna risk maybe marring up the threads because it's not like because it's got a strange head pattern there, but it usually works pretty good, and if it's a decent bolt it shouldn't have any problem. And don't use power tools. You might be tempted, because you're going to be turning it a lot. You might be tempted to use like an impact or something, or a drill, but you will damage it if you do that. Everybody says that. So just hand tools. Just bear with a lot of turning, and not too bad. But I'll be back after I press this out. Okay, I got the bushing out. It was beautiful. Just kept pressing through. Tough to turn for sure, but I was able to do it with this wrench here, which isn't very good or long, and my pass-through socket here, ratchet here, which was really nice having. But basically it got right up to the end and then it just popped out. There's like a little pop at the end and it fell into the cup. That was it. So I'm gonna do this one next, and then I'll probably go ahead and do the mounts for the rear lower control arms. So that'll be a good one. Okay, so this one's just about out now. I wanted to show you right before it does. I do recommend working towards one end so that you're not twisting all the way, because it's pretty long. So this way you can take off the shorter end and not have to turn it all the way down the whole shaft. The bearings do get kind of warm after just doing the one bushing, so I would kind of recommend maybe between pulling and pushing to give it a few minutes to cool down, so that nothing wears out too fast. And I did find that the best way to do it, because it does take so much force, was to put my foot on the piece and pull up on the ratchet. That worked best for me. And I think that popping sound that I heard was actually the bushing hitting against the end of the cap, because it's under so much pressure. When it comes out, it just kind of launches. Story about that is the other day when I was popping the ball joints at my friend's shop, fortunately nobody was around, because when I had the ball joint and I was tightening it, when it did pop, it launched across the floor because I didn't have anything in front of it. And yeah, it could have been bad if somebody had been there. So if you're popping a ball joint and it's a loose ball joint, put something in the way so that there's something for it to hit, because it slid like 20 feet across the floor. Okay, so it was kind of a slow day. Didn't really make as much progress as I wanted, but did make some. Not on this though. On this mount that I wanted to replace the bushings on, I still have the bushings and I'm still hopeful, but I've been to 2 machine shops and nobody can help me figure out how, one, to press this out, because the rim is so small. It's that ring right there, if you can see, and also once it's pressed out, this bottom area is right here is where you need to press it in, and this area is the same width, so you can't slide a piece over and press it. You have to get underneath it to press it down. There are 2 sides that are not as wide, but I'm not really sure, other than to maybe put some kind of like a piece of flat stock steel in there or something and then press on that. But even still, the bushing is angled, so I'm not really sure. But there's one more machine shop I'm going to check that's a pretty big one, so I'll see if they have any ideas. Otherwise, I'll have to figure something else out. The other bushings, that tool that I used, it was much better at pushing the bushings out than pushing them in. I fought with it a lot. It kept cocking sideways on me, and nothing I could do would keep it from doing that. I don't know how many times I tried, but finally I decided to take it to a machine shop where, I also was checking those other ones, just take it along and see. And I did get a guy at a machine shop to press these in, but he had the same trouble I did. Both of them are pressed in. He had the same trouble I did, which was the bushing trying to turn sideways, maybe just because it's such a small bushing. But it took him, at least probably more than a half a dozen times on the first one. And then the second one, I would say at least a dozen times. And the time that it did work, he basically said that was, the last thing he could think of. And, at that point he chamfered the end of the bushing, which is something I had considered doing but wasn't sure about doing. well, it worked, but even with the hydraulic press he was using, it was very difficult. So I don't feel too bad. But also, I got the ball joint in here and snap ring in the bottom, and then I'm working on getting the ball joint in here, and I actually have it all set up, but it's actually pressed in a little bit already, because this ball joint is really like pushing the limits on what this set can do, because the ball joint is pretty tall there, so this is the only cup it would fit into, and then it also needs this cup on the bottom, which is pretty short, but it needs that so that it can go down past the knuckle. And with both of them on there, you really don't have enough bite on the threads. So the best thing I could find is to take the bottom cap off and just pull against the knuckle and get it started into it, and then back it out and put the cap in the bottom so that you can get more threads into here, so that you can actually torque on it without worrying about breaking threads on the shaft there. But yeah, it's almost in there, so I'm gonna get that in, and then I got some other stuff I'll show you, but I'll cut to that in just a second. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you is the rack and pinion, but one thing I wanted to say about doing the ball joint and the bushing presses is make sure you wear eye protection, because you could really lose an eye. It's no joke. I went to one of the machine shops, and he had a piece that was embedded in the wall that had bounced off of something and into a wall, and that would have hurt for sure. But in any case, the rack and pinion here, I figure while it's out, it's going to be way easier to do the tie rods, the inner and outer. The inner, obviously, it's all rusted inside there. The boot looked like it was sealed everywhere, but water got in there. I feel like maybe this was Noah's car, so who knows. But the end of the inner tie rod is pretty big. There is a tool that they have for it. They have videos where you can do it in the car, but I've been, reading up on it, and these wrench marks on this inner shaft are apparently so that you can hold the rack while you tighten the tie rod on, the inner tie rod. So that tool will allow you to torque it, but you risk damaging the gears up inside the rack up there. So I think it'd be much better to take it out and do it if you can, obviously. But basically, I'm gonna probably get that tool so that I'll be able to torque this, because that's about the best way I can find to torque it. And I'm gonna need to get some wrenches that can actually get in there, because there's only like maybe a 7mm gap there. So there's like a set of wrenches called a service wrench set. So I'm gonna go check those out and see if they're thin enough to get in there. Maybe get a few new tools. Don't judge. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm not having much luck getting the bearings out of these hubs. They're really rusted in there, and getting them out is just impossible with what I have. I have some drivers that I've been trying to use, and the whatever you call this kit, the press and pull sleeve kit. It just has not been working at all. It hasn't even budged. And just so you know, I do have the snap ring out, but it's not going at all. So we're gonna need some hydraulics for that. And then I got something else to show you. So I did get the wrenches for the shaft there, and it's the right size. It's a 22, but even still, it's still not narrow enough. And I'm gonna basically just grind down this wrench so that it does fit, but that's pretty messed up. I don't know what wrench they expect you to use, but you gotta get a real thin one or customize your own. And me being stupid, I decided I'm going to take off the rack and pinion. And you can see here, when I pulled up this bolt, I can't even get it up now. There's just so much rust. If you can see all the powder there, it just started pouring out. The front ones weren't bad, but that back one, and then this one, even worse. This one sheared off on top, so I tried to get it on the bottom, sheared off on the bottom. So I don't know, it's threaded on both ends. I'm not sure. I might have to get a new subframe. I was just hoping to maybe change out the bushings in this rack and pinion, but I shouldn't have messed with it, I suppose. But hey, you know, might as well do one more thing. So I'll let you know how this goes. Okay, so yeah, I had to share this. You can see the pile of dirt there, the rust. Yeah, that ate up that bolt pretty good. So I'm going to show you that here. It's pretty toasted. So I guess I kind of understand why that other side snapped. Like the back end of this car was sitting in water. But yeah, that one's toast, and that one's toast over there. And hopefully I can figure something out so I don't have to buy a new subframe. Cross member. It's not cheap, but yes, I could. If I have to, buy a cross member and even a rack and pinion, maybe. We'll see. But we're gonna get it done right. So I got the rack and pinion off, and I was able to get the bolt out. It wasn't easy. I don't know if you can actually see in there at all, but it was like welded in there from the rust. A lot of hammering with the sledge and a lot of penetrating oil, and eventually I was able to punch it out with a screwdriver and a sledge there. And these are the bolts here. I thought that one was bad, but man, that other one is way worse. It's just doesn't even look like a bolt anymore. There's some threads at the bottom, but man, it's rough. And I got the rack and pinion out over here, so I'm kind of checking that out, seeing it is 170,000 miles old and 18 years old. They do have these super cheap ones by Detroit Axle. I can get one for like 160 bucks. I know a lot of people say that they're junk, but there are some people who say that they're good. So, you know, maybe it's a hit or miss. I just figure maybe I could get that, try it out. If it works, great, and if it doesn't, in the meantime, maybe I can make a video on how to rebuild this one here, and then if it does have any issues, have this one to change it out with. But we'll see. I'll let you know what I'm going to do. Okay, so I did manage to get my wrench ground down. It took quite a bit. It's really thin, and I had to get this part in here thin, which was really thick. Otherwise, I couldn't get it to sit flat in there because of the washer on the side. It wanted to lean to the side. So I got it ground down. It holds real good. And I noticed on this side, I took the boot off, and this side there is no marks like that. There is something there, hole in it, but apparently you just have to hold the other end over here while you do the inner tie rod on this side too. So I mean, it'd really be impossible to do it by yourself properly. But also I noticed here, let's see if I can get it, there's grease all over the backside, but when I look down in here, I don't know if you can see, but I really don't see grease too much on the teeth. It's really hard to see, but it's interesting there's not grease on the teeth, but there is on the backside. So I mean, obviously that's not gonna be pushed out by much, but there's not even grease around the teeth that I can see. So maybe it was a good idea to pull this one out and redo it. We'll see.